Chapter 3, The Son of Skywalker. Coruscant, 4 BY, 1 week before the Battle of Endor. He approaches. Mind your feelings, as you wish, my lord. The Emperor's hand thought in response to the voice resonating in her mind. She willed her feelings into a compliant dormancy, clearing her mind of thought. The task proved more difficult than usual, as the one who approached always stirred rage within. Feeling the rage longing to percolate and boil over, she exhaled, settling into a quiet, silent blankness, not unlike the emptiness of space. Crouching on the catwalk, she watched a light emerge on the far end of the chamber, and she felt the presence precede the actual man. The light cast his long shadow across the black, polished floor as he strode forward, his grim intent apparent from a distance. She traced his steps, timing his gait and calculating the gradual, ongoing decline in his capacities. Once an unstoppable force, age, and something more elusive and diffuse had diminished the once formidable power of Darth Vader. Do you feel the conflict? She opened her senses to the force around her and detected it, subtle, elusive, almost impossible to grasp, but still present. As she observed the fleeting, fickle conflict within the man, she noticed the barriers and the walls surrounding it. Yes, the walls tell a clearer story than the conflict itself. She understood. Darth Vader was attempting to hide his feelings from the Emperor. She waited, watching as Vader knelt before the Emperor seated in his throne. She strained her ears to hear the exchange while allowing her senses to detect the emotional undercurrents. "Freeze, Lord Vader," the Emperor commanded in a rumbling, guttural voice that echoed through the darkened chamber. Darth Vader rose to his feet, assuming a motionless, attentive posture. The Emperor regarded his disciple, his leer stretching into a cruel smile. Vader disregarded the impulse to tense at the anticipated critique, and the Emperor's smile vanished as Vader replied, "What is thy bidding, my master?" The Emperor paused, holding his regard a moment longer, before explaining, "As I have received word that progress on Endor proceeds more slowly than directed." The Emperor paused, adding in a growl, "And I am most displeased." Sank Commander Jerjerrod reports that the battle station will be operational on schedule, Darth Vader affirmed. "And do you share his appraisal, my friend?" the Emperor asked, menace lacing his statement. Vader hesitated, then added, "No, I do not." "And you will depart for Endor immediately," the Emperor growled. "Let them know that I will be joining them soon. I expect the battle station to be fully armed and operational when I arrive." "Yes, my master," Vader said, bowing his head, but without succeeding at masking his confusion and curiosity. "And I sense that you are wondering," the Emperor appraised, adding, "Undoubtedly you have felt it. The disturbance in the Force?" "I have, my master," Vader affirmed. "And what do you make of it?" the Emperor asked. It was more command than query. "My master, I sense various destinies building toward a point, and the inflection carries great consequence," Vader explained. "And beyond?" the Emperor asked. Vader, sensing that the Emperor was testing him, admitted, I do not know." "Yes," the Emperor affirmed, seemingly pleased. "Much uncertainty surrounds the Son of Skywalker." The Emperor leaned forward, his yellowing eyes boring into Vader's skull-like mask. "And I wonder, are your feelings clear about your son?" "And they are clear," Vader confirmed. The Emperor tilted his head to the left, conveying skepticism. "Then you will reach out to him. Bring him before me." The Emperor's hand sensed the slightest flash of impulse within Vader, followed by sense that Vader struggled to master it, to his own annoyance as much as his own fear of the Emperor's reaction. "As you wish, my master," Vader affirmed. "Do not hope to conceal your conflict, Lord Vader. Have I not already witnessed how weak you become when facing the friends of Anakin Skywalker?" "My master, I assure you," Vader began, but the Emperor cut him off. "Sent your rantings after Ahsoka Tano vanished under your nose. Your sentimentality. After failing to bring me the boy," the Emperor accused, and with each accusation, the Emperor's hand sensed Vader's shame stirring. "I will not fail," Vader declared more forcefully. "Will you not?" The Emperor laughed mockingly. "What happens once will never happen again. What happens twice will surely happen a third time." The Emperor turned his head to the shadows and nodded, and the Emperor's hand felt a rush of urging flash through her mind. She leapt from the catwalk, covering most of the distance as she somersaulted through the darkness. She hit the ground, rolling to her feet straight into a run, hurtling toward Vader. Vader turned to his right in time to see a blur of red surge toward him. He reacted instinctively, igniting his weapon and settling into a crouch to deflect the attack. The force of the attack belied the slight figure of his attacker, and the impact sent Vader stumbling backward. The Emperor's hand persisted, charging forward and slashing viciously. Having recovered from the surprise, Vader settled, and reaching deep into the dark side, he countered, launching forward to counter the attack. To Vader's surprise, his attacker anticipated his movements, and with several deft parries, the attacker countered and neutralized Vader's attack, swiveling around his final thrust and swinging her blade into his armored shoulder. Vader shouted into the darkness at the pain searing into his flesh. Enraged, he threw himself forward, hacking at his attacker as she shifted into a defensive strategy. Vader nearly landed a blow to her blade arm, but with surprising speed and dexterity, she dodged his attack. She twirled a graceful pirouette, and her red blade hurtled toward Vader's face. Vader brought his lightsaber up barely in time, and the force of the blow sent him stumbling backward. He came down hard on his back, and his saber skittered away across the polished floor into the shadows. Vader reached through the darkness for his lightsaber, struggling to locate it in the dark. The red glow and throb of his combatant's lightsaber pulled his focus away from the shadows, and as the blade vibrated inches from his face, the Emperor's cackling filled the room. Slowly, leaning into his cane for support, the Emperor shuffled over to Vader, standing beside his hand. The Emperor's satisfaction filled her with a surge of savage pleasure, but no sooner had she felt the pleasure did she feel his anger and contempt. "Keep your feelings in check, girl. And feelings for the boy have made you weak," the Emperor condemned, his cackle dying as his eyes went cold and dark. Vader's breathing remained heavy, and with his enemy's blade still inches from his face, he had little range of movement. "Weakness makes you unfit," the Emperor condemned, a cruel disgust and disappointment lacing his condemnation. Vader turned toward the Emperor's hand and sensed her triumph, concluding that this mysterious being who had defeated him believed she would take his place at the Emperor's side. His fear receded as his rage awoke. Hatred mounted, erupting in a wave of energy that swept both his attacker and the Emperor away. The Emperor slid over the floor, his cane rattling as it skipped into the shadows. His attacker flew backward, somersaulting through the air and landing gracefully on the floor. As she landed, Vader summoned his saber and stalked forward. He brought his saber down hard, his blade slamming into his attacker's blade. The force of the attack buckled her knees, and she came down hard on the ground, grunting at the pain. Vader slashed again, and his blow sent his attacker stumbling into the shadows. The Emperor's dry cackling echoed through the room, his pleasure and amusement abundant. "Good!" he purred. "Good." The attacker stepped out of the shadows, her weapon extinguished. Vader kept his blade ignited, ready for an attack. The Emperor effected an introduction. Darth Vader, the Emperor's hand. The Emperor's hand, Darth Vader. "Our Sith?" Vader asked, his breathing labored. "Only two there are," the Emperor corrected, "and power demands many tools. You, Vader, are the hammer. My hand wields the silent knife." The Emperor nodded to the figure, and she removed her helmet. To Vader's surprise, a cascade of crimson hair tumbled over her shoulders. Her face was hard and familiar, etched with hatred and resentment. Otherwise, Vader might have described it as beautiful. Her eyes had a burning green intensity, although her power in the dark side yellowed her bloodshot sclera. She stared at Vader, her gaze a fierce, defiant challenge. The familiarity of her face eluded him as he held her gaze. She harbored fierce hatred toward him. But why, he wondered. Before Vader could ask the question, the Emperor commanded, "And go to Endor. Ensure Jerjerrod remains on schedule. You will then call out to the boy, Soon our victory will be at hand, and we will crush the rebellion once and for all." Vader spared one last look at the woman, then turned back to the Emperor, saying, "Yes, my master." "Remember, my friend, the consequences of your weakness," the Emperor admonished, adding, "Do not think that you cannot be replaced." Vader, recognizing the dismissal, swept from the chamber, vanishing into the shadows. The Emperor reached out, and his cane soared across the chamber into his hand. He shuffled slowly back to his throne, the woman walking at his side. The Emperor climbed the stairs and settled into the throne. The woman swept her hair back over her head and lowered her helmet once again. As she watched the Emperor settle back into his throne, she felt a wave of fear and pity that she quickly sequestered. "All thoughts betray you, Emperor's hand," the Emperor admonished. "Do not fear for that which cannot die." "And I am sorry, my lord," she said, nodding her head deferentially. She kept her head down, but again could not quell the questions swirling in her mind. "Once you fail to master your feelings again," the Emperor said contemptuously, "speak or be gone." "Oh, my lord," she said, her voice soft and deferential. "Vader, he is still conflicted. I could feel it. I don't understand why you permit him." "And I permit him because, weak and defective though he is, he wields more power than anybody other than myself," the Emperor crackled. "Then why did I beat him?" The Emperor's hand countered. "Surprise." "Sentiment," the Emperor explained. "Do not count on those allies should you face him again." "He will turn on you," she countered. "So be it," the Emperor declared. "Soon, the boy will be mine. Vader will either find his place or he will die." "Hence, boy?" the Emperor's hand asked, studiously studying the Emperor's countenance to ensure her queries did not outstay his welcome. "Is he really the Son of Skywalker?" The Emperor turned toward her, his yellow eyes boring into her mask. She blanched, turning away. "What of it?" He cackled, his anger cutting through her like a lightsaber. "If he shares his father's weakness," she began, but faltered under his gaze. The Emperor cut her off, hissing, "Do not delude yourself with such foolish ambitions, girl." She flinched from the rebuke, and the Emperor glared at her contemptuously, adding, "Vader will always harbor one singular weakness until he either kills that weakness or the weakness kills him. Your weakness, your womanhood," the Emperor hissed as he said the word. "Nothing can kill that. I nearly killed." She started to assert, before the Emperor's anger surged. "Enough!" the Emperor roared, and a wave of pain washed over her. In the silence that followed, she felt his disdain, his contempt. Her sense of triumph waned as she realized that somehow she had failed to please him yet again. "Yes, my lord," she said, but her filtered voice conveyed her dejection and pain. "Yes, my lord." The Emperor mocked cruelly. "Get out of my sight. Go to Endor. Watch over Vader. Ensure he does not stray." "Yes, my lord," she said, adding, "And if he should stray, kill him. Subdue the boy and bring him to me," the Emperor commanded. Recognizing the dismissal and recognizing that it would be her role to kill Vader should he fail and bring the Emperor Vader's replacement, she strode from the chamber, her heart racing and her chest burning with shame. When she felt that she was at a safe distance from the Emperor's presence, she stopped, leaning into a railing before a window opening to Coruscant's bustling skyline. The shame welled and rose in her, and she heard the voice ringing through her mind, echoing repeatedly, cackling and growling in the Emperor's broken, hateful voice. "You will never be enough.